All right, let's watch episode 4 of Love is Blind, season 1. And I, as a couples therapist, will react off the cuff from the top of my mind. Let's see what happens here.
I'm shocked at how comfortable we are, but then again, I'm not shocked how fast it's been because we're honestly the same person. You know, we both are ambitious and outgoing and...
So I'll pause it there. It's quite normal when you're falling in love with someone to recognize the similarities between you and them. It's very comforting for us to find a connection when people are similar to us. We feel like they understand us, and that's really what we're looking for deep down, is for someone to understand us and really get us, and how much easier that would be facilitated by if they actually were us, or they were very similar to us. So there's nothing wrong with that this fella is saying. But this is also a red flag, or a yellow flag, if you will, when people say, we're basically the same person. That is a yellow flag of a warning sign that someone lacks what we call differentiation, the ability to differentiate between self and others. When we're very small, we naturally, at the 0 to 2 years old, we naturally can't really differentiate between ourselves and other people. That's a developmentally good thing, in that when you're young, you depend on other people. You don't really know your feelings yet. You don't have the ability to walk off and get a job and be independent, right? You really depend. And so there's a lack of differentiation, a lack of individuation between child and parents. And as we age and mature, we slowly individuate from other people. We still depend on other people. We're never released from that dependency. We just move to a more older version of that dependency. When people say, we're basically the same people, that sometimes is a wish, a fantasy, a immature hope that one is the same as the other person, returning back to that early attachment, lack of differentiation state. It's regressing. And it's a hope that a lot of people have. We all basically have it, and we all strive for it, and when we don't get it, it's disappointing. It's one of the primary disappointments of love and adulthood, really. But most of us, if we're given enough love and attention, we can cope with that. We can cope with the fact that we're not the same as other people, and other people will never truly get us. They'll kind of get us, which is good, but they're never going to really understand us because there's this chasm between our psyches. And also, adults just don't really want to spend that much time trying to get to know another person the way a parent does to an infant. So when someone says we're basically the same people, and basically what we've been kind of seeing from Mark, although I'm really not sure, it's possible that he might lack that differentiation. Of course, I can't diagnose him. He's not my client. He might be doing this all for the camera. It's edited by producers. It's unethical to diagnose from afar. But for educational purposes, when I hear that term, we're basically the same person, I wonder how mature the person is, and not immature in sense of like making fun of someone. I mean in the sense of the developmental phases we must go through in order to have a mature relationship, how differentiated we are from other people, how much can we rely on ourselves. When we're young, we can't rely on the self for emotional regulation or for anything. We can't rely on ourselves to get a job. We can't rely on ourselves to emotionally regulate. We can't even rely on ourselves to ambulate across the room and get a glass of water. We depend on other people for everything. And so as we mature, as we differentiate, we learn to depend on ourselves. That's a part of the differentiation process. We can, when we're stressed out, when we're sad, we can turn to ourselves to soothe ourselves. Now, none of us are even remotely independent from other people. We definitely do rely on other people. But we need to have that flexibility to say, yeah, right now I'm going to reach out to someone that I trust that can actually, give me what I need emotionally. And right now I'm not really getting that from someone. I kind of need to back away from this person. I need to rely on my own. When I hear someone say, we're basically the same person, I wonder how much they can't rely on themselves for self-soothing. I don't know, but that's just what comes to mind. So let's continue listening to Mark here.
I feel like I've known her forever.
We could potentially be in the cuddle zone.
Okay.
But I'm still getting used to and comfortable with like us in the flesh, which is so weird.
I am a physical person. I am very, very, like, I guess the Hispanic in me, the Latin in me, the romance comes out. But Jessica and I decided to wait to have sex or anything or be physical because I think that if I take my time with this and really build that foundation that we've already built, like a stack on top of it, then I feel then this relationship will last for a lifetime.
I find it interesting. So I think there are 5 couples or maybe 6 that have graduated to this next phase of the reality TV show, and 2 of the couples have decided not to have sex on the first night. Mark and Jessica and Kelly and Kenny, I believe. And I find it interesting that in today's culture, these 2 couples who have just met each other and probably have done lots of other things, first base, second base, third base stuff, and they feel like they have to justify the fact that they haven't had sex on the first night. Now, obviously, I'm not going to shame the people who did have sex on the first night. Everyone's free to do what they want to do. But I find it interesting that we've come to this place in 2020 where people have to, somehow explain themselves as to why they didn't have sex on the first night. I think part of it also has to do with how they've proposed. They're engaged officially, supposedly. And I think it feels weird to not have sex with your fiance given their morals, that kind of thing. So I don't know, just kind of an interesting thing. I kind of wish that all the couples didn't feel like they had to justify themselves, that they were just free to do what they wanted to do. And, just an observation there.
When Carlton told me about his sexuality, I was shocked. I just knew that I needed to think. I needed to pray. I needed to just sleep in my own room.
I haven't fully opened up.
What is it that you want to open up to me about?
In the past, I have dated both genders. Fucking hate this. Like, fuck!
I actually made a connection with Carlton in a deep way. We talked about everything under the sun. He made me feel like a special person, and I hope I did too. But now I can't even say that everything he was saying was real. I still have a connection for Carlton. I do. That will never change how I feel about Carlton. I need to talk to him. I really do.
And I can't get through without you.
Last night was very tough for me. Now all I can do is wait and see what Diamond says. Care about her, but I understand that it's a lot for anyone to take in. At the end of the day, all I can do is live my truth and do what's best for me.
So as I said in the last episode, it's a tragedy that we live in a society where bisexual people feel like they have to hide themselves and potentially hurt someone else by making them feel like they were holding something back. In 50 years, I'm quite hopeful that we'll live in a society where someone can admit they're bisexual and not worry about there being some kind of rejection just based on that identity. I think the lessons we can learn is we still have a ways to go in our society, obviously. Another lesson we can learn is that perhaps one should reveal that earlier on, before proposing, for example. If you really love someone and you really trust them, then you should, probably reveal that earlier than later. Like I said in the last episode, I understand why people wait because, one, people are literally killed for their identity as being queer. And two, you just want to be face-to-face maybe to explain something. Now, the other lesson we can learn from this that I talked about last episode is when there is conflict, it's important to try to identify your own attachment needs in that process so you don't sabotage. Our efforts to protect ourselves from rejection often cause people to reject us. When Carlton didn't reveal his sexuality to her, he was worried about rejection, so he was defending himself from rejection by not telling her. But by not telling her, that raised the risk of her rejecting him. Also, when he did tell her, and she was taken aback for a second, because it is quite a bit of information for her, he didn't really give her much time to process before he started to get upset. And that led to her wanting to walk away. It's understandable why Carlton would be sensitive in that moment, because you lay it all out there, and the fantasy is the other person will just be like, I totally get you. I love you. I unconditionally. That doesn't usually happen, or doesn't always happen. And so I believe that Carlton and Diamond have a chance together. If they can take care of each other and not sabotage, then there's still an opportunity there. So let's see what happens with them.
My heart feels like it's split into two. So on one hand, I feel blindsided. I feel like, was this really true love? Is this real? But then on the other hand, it's just somebody that I know that I'm like, I want to be with, because I have built a relationship and a foundation with him that I've never had before. I love Carlton. I hope that it's going to be okay. It's going to work itself out. But I do know that I need to talk to him. I need to see him. I need to get some things off my chest.
Hola.
Hola, ¿cómo estás?
I can only answer in French. Comme si, comme ça.
Okay.
How you feeling?
I feel good.
You look good.
You too. I like your shoes.
Ooh.
It's warm, right?
Thank you.
How are you feeling?
I'm glad I get to see you again.
Yeah. I'm feeling like I'm physically in paradise, but not mentally there.
Where you at mentally?
It's a lot going through my mind. I feel like I kept it real from you since day one.
Mm-hmm.
I personally feel that you left out who you really are.
Like, I get how you feel. I get that you probably feel betrayed.
I kind of feel you kind of played the experiment in a way.
Mm-mm.
I feel that. I feel that you weren't honest with me from the get-go. I felt like that should have been established.
I feel like I was honest. I wanted you to get to know me for me.
Okay, so aside from the ominous music, it's a pretty good scene here. From the outside, you kind of hear it escalating a little bit, and we'll see what happens here. But this is typically how fights escalate and how relationships end. When people don't slow down and take things step by step. She's saying, I feel like you played the experiment. You played it, like she's accusing him of being dishonest and tricking her. That's her message. She's like, I kind of feel like you tricked me into agreeing to marry you. I kind of feel like you weren't honest. I mean, clearly you weren't honest about the full you, and I feel like you might have tricked me. Okay. If we slow down, if I was here with the two of them, I would wait for Carlton to respond. When I see him moving too fast, I would say, Carlton, I just want you to slow down. What do you think Diamond is saying right now? And hopefully Carlton would say something like, well, I don't know, I guess she's saying that I lied to her and that I tricked her. But I wasn't trying to okay, I get it. Don't slow down. Let's acknowledge to her that you hear her, that you understand that you were dishonest and that she feels tricked. Because the principle here is that when people feel understood and heard, that typically brings down their stress level. It tends to make them less upset, and it might even bridge the gap here. These two, I think they still have a chance, and hopefully they can work this out. The initial response from Carlton is defense, is to be defensive, and to say something like, I didn't trick you, and this kind of defense, or providing reasons why he did what he did, rather than just saying, yeah, I get it. When we heard Carlton in the bedroom talking to the camera when he's in bed, he seemed remorseful. He seemed like he understood. He seemed like he wanted to reach out. But now that he's in the face of Diamond, he's getting triggered and he wants to defend himself. Again, both of these people, particularly Carlton, does not want to get rejected. He's talked about that. And I sense that. He wants closeness. He doesn't want to get rejected. He wants acceptance. And I think if he were to think a little bit more clearly right now, he'd say, okay, I need to slow down. But he's getting triggered. He probably has relational traumas from his past that are being triggered right here. You know, she's a little distant, you know, and she's saying, hey, I think you tricked me. And there's some indications like maybe she's going to reject him. That's triggering to him. He gets upset. He gets pre-hurt. He gets scared. And that kicks in his defenses. Let's see if he can sort of bring it down and slow down and acknowledge her.
Yeah.
That's always
that is
been
part
the
of you, though.
strategy that has never, it's never been an issue with girls. It's never.
Then why did you tell me in the beginning?
Because in the beginning.
So again, breaking this down, Carlton's message here to Diamond is it's never been an issue for girls. I don't know why it's an issue for you. So there's an accusation in there of, you know, you're weird. You seem to have an issue with this. Now, what Diamond hasn't said is, I have an issue with bisexuality. What she said is, I have an issue with the fact you didn't tell me earlier. Now, Diamond isn't being very good at communicating that. Again, if I were here, I'd be, Diamond, which are you more upset about right now? Or either one. Are you upset about that he's bisexual, or are you upset that he didn't tell you earlier? My guess is Diamond would say, I'm more upset he didn't tell me earlier. Okay. So Carlton, she's not upset as much, at least, about the bisexuality. She's upset that you didn't tell her earlier. You know, what do you think about that? Hopefully that'd give Carlton a chance to say, oh, she's not rejecting me for who I am and my sexuality, which really hurts me. She's upset about something that makes sense to me, that she feels deceived, and I should have told her earlier, you know? So again, slowing down, checking in with yourself, understanding what's really happening for you. Now, I'm making it sound easy. I've been doing this for 25 years. I've been a couples therapist for a very long time. And I have hours and hours and hours and hours and hours of helping people with this, and personally, in my own personal life. It takes a lot of practice and skill. And if you were never modeled that kind of slowing down and taking responsibility for your feelings and giving other people a chance to rise to the occasion, if all your parents did was fight all the time, if all your friends, you know, talk crap about everyone else whenever they feel hurt and scared, then you might not know what it looks like. And it takes someone like me, who's a paid professional, who's trained in this and has a lot of experience and studies this for a living, to actually like walk people through it. So I'm not surprised when people have these kinds of conflicts, but it breaks my heart to see people hurt each other in this way. But hopefully they can turn it around. It seems like, you know, they're trying, so let's see.
And you will prejudge me.
But you said it's never been an issue with girls.
Would you have really, if I would have told you on the first date, would you have really given me a chance? You wouldn't have.
I'd rather you have told me up in front. I would be able to make a better decision, or be able to say, okay, you know, I understand where you're coming from, but you know for sure you want to be with a female. This is how I personally felt and how I slept on it.
Last night, she was rubbing my back. She's like, give me a hug. Let me talk to you. I'm here for you. And then today, it's like all of a sudden you have an issue with it. Nah. Do you really think that I would be here if I didn't have real feelings? Like, just like what, for a trip? It's like, I don't know, whatever. Show your true colors. I've shown mine.
No, you haven't shown your true colors. Not from the beginning.
But I did last night.
Yeah, but you waited all the way to literally 4 weeks away from our wedding to show your true colors.
Okay, cool. So you want to call it off?
That's fine for you to do that?
I'm saying it's whatever you want at this point.
But I'm
Because
just
you are
saying,
giving
like,
me
you
a
don't
response different from
understand.
any response that I've ever gotten.
So as a professional who makes a living off of analyzing and helping people with their conflicts, this is sort of the phase 2 of conflict. They've kind of crossed a Rubicon here, where now they're no longer really trying to bridge the gap. They're entering the phase where they're trying to win an argument. They're trying to verbally judo the situation to like catch the other person and say, aha, I got you. When you try to win, you always lose. And that's what they're into right now. And unless someone steps in, or unless something really weird happens, or one of these two people, you know, takes a breath and, you know, sort of resets the conversation, this isn't going to end well. I've been here many, many times. They have they're no longer trying to take responsibility for their feelings. There's a lot of body language there. Carlton's turning away. She's being more, accusatory. They're raising their voices. This doesn't bode well for this relationship.
You're so defensive with it, though.
Because I'm not going to subject myself to that. I have to be
I'm
defensive.
just
Nobody
saying
has fought for
how
me
I feel
except
about
me.
it. Nobody fought for me either. But at the same time,
So right there, Diamond is like, you're being so defensive about it. And that gives Carlton an opportunity to be like, oh, am I being defensive? Okay. Basically what she's asking is that I stop being so defensive. So Carlton could have capitalized on that and turned it around. Also, Diamond could have said it in a different way. She could have reset and said, so I'm sensing that you're being defensive. That's not my purpose, is to put you on the defense. Let's try to calm down. And now the other thing about this is, like, it's a reality TV show. So, it's hard to know whether these people actually like each other. It kind of seems like they do, especially when they did propose to each other in the pods. But anyway, yeah, this isn't going so well. But I don't know. There's still a chance.
I'm sitting here and I'm talking to you about it. I don't have to sit here and talk to you about this.
If you don't want to, you don't have
But I
to.
want to, because I wouldn't be here if I wouldn't, okay? So don't try to play the victim here, okay?
It's insulting me at this point.
It's insulting you?
Yeah,
Oh, so
it
this
is.
whole process is not
Yeah.
insulting to me?
Well, I'm not here to disrespect you. You on some other shit
I know,
right now that
I'm
I
on
can't
some
fuck
real
with.
stuff, and this is part of real life.
I'm here to have communication, open communication with you, and just communicate what is the problem and how to address it, not make matters worse.
I'm
okay, but so
with
you
or
don't care
without.
no feelings about
I'm
how
okay
you took me
with
through
or
this.
without this situation. I am okay.
What? Oh, you know.
Now, the other thing I'll say is that there's a possibility, it's impossible to know based on these data, is she could be homophobic or anti-bisexual people, and she's routing the conversation that way. It doesn't seem like that to me, but I have to acknowledge that there's a lot of bigotry out there and a lot of propaganda and a lot of bias, a lot of prejudice about bisexual people. And, we can't rule that out, that no matter what Carlton did, she would have had this conversation not go great. Having said that, it's clear that Carlton is not helping the situation. So, and this is, again, you see the body language, the raising of the voice, and the way I like to characterize this as I watch these kinds of conversations is basically no one is saying anything really. If you actually just verbatim wrote out this conversation, you would be like, how is this? What's happening here? It's basically just a lot of words and a lot of walls being put up. And usually what people are hoping is that, they'll say something harsh and the other person will go like, okay, you know what? You're right. I'm sorry. But when you accuse someone and you have an aggressive tone, people tend to get hurt and scared, and then they put up walls, and it's all obvious. But anyway,
I ain't got time
I'm
for
okay.
this because you having a bad attitude.
Go ahead.
No,
throw
this
it.
not
Throw
ain't
it.
for you.
Have your moment.
You have your moment.
Like, seriously, you're taking off your ring because I'm being honest with you. You'd rather a man lie to you about who he's been with or his past? Like, that's insane. I don't need that type of energy in my life. Have your moment.
Goodbye.
You
You
need
can go because you got some
You need
issues
it.
that I see
I have
now.
issues because
yes,
I'm
you
telling
do.
my
You
truth.
have some serious issues. So the fact
Nah,
that you're
you're
gonna
typical.
disrespect me,
You're typical.
You're gonna disrespect me because how I
I'm
feel.
disrespecting
Because you
you.
led me to
I'm
believe that you
disrespecting
really
you because
was
you're
into
showing
me.
that. Oh, I do.
No, you don't.
You're
Because
not
if you
gonna take
did, you
it.
would have been here and
You're
told
not-
me from the day
I know
one
who I
that
am.
Diamond,
I have
am
a method.
bisexual.
I don't have
I
to
do
disclose
this, I do that.
information
You
that I'm
don't
not
have
ready
to.
for somebody. Like, I have disclosed information to people.
But you don't think
too
that's
soon
misleading for
and
other
being
people?
called all
We
types
about to
of
go here
names.
and walk down the aisle,
Nobody has
and you
ever
never
had
told
an
me.
issue with it except you, and it was
Oh,
girls who
okay.
wasn't even like remotely close to who you are.
Well,
if you
I'm
were this
Diamond
person,
Jack.
okay,
I'm not
good.
who these other
I ain't
girls you've been
fucking with
talking
you like
to.
that.
I don't care if he's not fucking with me.
I ain't. You're
I
not
gave
the
you
one.
your ring back.
I don't give a fuck about a ring. Fuck a ring. Fuck a ring. This is why I don't deal with bitches like you.
Oh, I'm a bitch now. You gonna call me a bitch in my face?
I don't deal with women like you.
Fuck you. Fuck you, fucker.
Nah,
Damn,
fuck like
huh?
me.
fuck you.
Bye.
Kids, look,
And
watch
fix-
my ass to the next dick,
No,
boy.
watch your wig, because it keeps sliding.
You
It's
the
been sliding
fuck do
since
you
day
think
one.
I am?
Your wig been
You
sliding
ain't married
since day
to no
one.
average bitch,
Peace
boy.
out.
Shut the fuck up.
Peace out.
Fuck. Oh, you so fucking. Ooh.
You mad because I'm telling the truth. I have clearly realized that this is not the woman for me. She has proven herself to be ignorant. She has proven herself to be stereotypical. I feel betrayed just as much as she feels betrayed. So fuck her. I don't give a fuck at this point.
So he went from loving her and wanting to marry her to this. And this is what keeps people with the walls up and keeps people lonely and maybe he's just reactive because it's just right after all this. Maybe he calms down later. I don't know. But maybe they even get back together. Maybe they get married at the end of the season. I don't know. It doesn't seem likely at this point. But the hurt of being rejected and being rejected for a reason that is dear to you, your bisexuality, being the ring off and the splash in the face, to him, that's a ton of rejection. And again, probably not the first time he's been rejected. And people with these kinds of defenses usually have a lot of rejection early in life as well. That is really quite formative to their personality and formative to their ideas of other people and themselves. He might have a deep sense that he's unlovable or that other people can't be trusted or both. And so this is yet another example of him, of people can't really be trusted or I'm not lovable or both. And his narrative is like, she's a terrible person, blah, blah, blah. And those walls just go up. And then the next person that comes, you let them in a little bit. First sign if something goes wrong, the walls go up and you do this again and you're lonely again. And then people with these kinds of defenses will often get to a certain age and go like, how come everyone else seems to have long-term relationships and I don't? Now, not everyone who suffers from loneliness suffers from this sort of reactivity, but it is an example of how one's efforts to protect oneself from being rejected causes one to get rejected. Now, I'm not saying the solution is to take away the walls. It's much more complicated than that, and it has to do with baby steps and working with people, but I hope you get the point. And really, most of all, it's just a tragedy. I just feel bad for these two people. They could have worked things out. Things could have worked out between the two of them. They seem like they had a genuine connection. And I feel bad for both of them, just like when my clients do this sort of thing to each other. It's just a tragedy. I see it coming a mile away, and I'm like, so much could have been done there if they just were given a chance, if they just had some way of understanding their feelings, taking responsibility, trying to take a guess as to where the other person is coming from, giving the other person the benefit of the doubt, not going to those places. But now they've done so much damage that even if you tried to bring them back together, they might not ever forget the things that were done today. So it just breaks my heart. So right here, we see Diamond, she's hurting. She's sad. That's not what she was showing in front of Carlton. What she was showing in front of Carlton was bravado, aggression, I don't need you, violence with, different things. But deep down, this is what's happening. If the two of them were able to express this way earlier in the conversation, that could have provoked an empathetic response from the other person and given them both a chance to take care of each other. But they never did this. Neither one of them said, I'm kind of hurting right now, or what you did to me hurt my feelings, or I'm kind of scared I'm going to lose you right now. That's not what they did. What they did is they stayed cool and calm and strong, and escalation of anger, accusing people. It's understandable. Everyone does it. But again, just to demonstrate.
I was literally about to walk down the aisle with someone that clearly I didn't know. And I feel like it shouldn't have got that way. I was really there just to talk to him and tell him how I felt. I was hoping he could be a man about it and talk to me, but no real man would act like that. So it's a done deal with us.
So I don't know if that's a coded bigoted statement, a bisexual phobic statement that a real man, meaning a heterosexual man, I don't know. I'd like to give Diamond the benefit of the doubt because she seems like a good soul. Maybe she's just using words like men in general, regardless of their sexuality. I don't know.
Just want to get away from here. Yeah, I don't have nothing else to say. Besides that, I'm going to get through this. I'm going to get through this. I'm going to make it through. Like I said, I'm built from a strong cloth, so I'm not going to allow this to stop anything from me.
I feel like both of our hearts and who we truly were at the core and who we truly are got overshadowed by assumption, defense, and pride.
So yeah, Carlton nails it. Who they really are deep down as people who want to connect with others, as caring, compassionate, loving, worthy of love people, got covered up by defense. All right, well, that does it for the end of episode 4 of season 1 of Love is Blind. Tune in next time for episode 5. And as all YouTubers say, subscribe and hit the bell so you're notified when things happen. I've been told by others that I should say that. So if you can, that'd be pretty cool of you.